Right, I think we're live. Hello everyone, I'm back and I'm live. We didn't miss anything, so that's good. But yeah, we're back live. I've just seen, oh my word. What is what's wrong with you? I've just started 10 seconds ago, and bloody Josh and Barbmac have just dropped in these donations like it's nothing. Wow, I've just started, it's 20 seconds in. Thank you both very much. I do appreciate it. Yeah, splash the cash, not the rain. Yeah, that's exactly what you should do. That's exactly what you should do. Cheers. And there's loads of you in here as well. We've just started. It's going to be an epic stream then for you all. Yeah, thank you very much. Right. I'm going to have a read through the chat. We've got Fisk was in here first, and the Scottish Furry was in here first as well. James with his send it to Scandi, we love to see it. You love to see it. Chris here saying evening to everyone. He's a nice guy. Evening to everyone. Enjoyed Gav's live. Yeah, I think everyone did. His birthday live stream was hectic. Nice to see a new member as well, SA. Evening to you as well. And Danny V, one of the moderators, and James obviously moderating as well. But yeah, cheers guys for those donations. Really appreciate it, and it helps support the channel. Fisk, I think I mentioned in Trainer Knit Show, which is Laura, saying the internet is working. Good evening to everyone. So hello to you. Yeah. Cheers to everyone for the stuff. Mark Hill saying hello, how are you doing? I'm doing alright, thank you. How are you doing? Got 33 of you in here. We've only started a minute ago. Usually it takes ages. Hazel's in here as well. It's nice to see you in the chat. Hopefully everything's going okay with your care and such. We'll get moving on to all the stuff, but you know, we've got to start with a bit of chatter. I'll actually move it over so you can see the chats. So that's good. What is happening? Josh has sent 5 channel memberships. So Les says evening. Rachel's here saying evening as well. All of you in here. Another James has received a membership. Neil Thomas, Martin Brophy is a regular. Nice to see you in here. Ellis and Dean. He's in. They're all in here as well. Nice to see you all. And cheers again, Josh, for the super chat, and also Barb for the 5 members as well. What is happening? Very kind of you to do that. Gavin, Andrew Davies, Jose, Ibi, and Jessica Jury. Well done to you lot as well. What is happening? I've only just started. I can't even bloody look at a chart yet. Yeah, too kind. You lot are too kind. I really do appreciate it, and it does really help support the channel. We've got 10 new members. There you go. All your names will start popping up as we go through the stuff, so that should be nice and interesting. But yeah, hope everyone is doing okay. Let me know how you're doing in the chat. Good start, yes, Air Commodore. It certainly is a good start to the stream. I'm in the house. Maybe this year the weather gods will give us a winter to match our season. See, I think, Paul, and nice to see you, by the way, that because I'm on the scene, it's going to be a cold one. With all these super chats and bloody memberships flying in, who knows? Yeah, cheers to everyone for supporting me and the channel. Do appreciate it. And also, the latest video was my most popular video in the first 24 hours ever. So that was brilliant. Right. Enough waffle. Let's get on looking at some actual data. We've got 40 of you in here. Let's get them likes up. Let's get 100 likes. Yeah. 100 likes. Right, let's get on. Let's move this screen over before we lose concentration. Right. Yeah, but yeah, hopefully everyone is doing okay. And hopefully you all enjoy today's stream. Now I'm actually feeling a bit better, which is nice because I've been feeling pretty rough, as you all know. As if you might have saw that other video, I look like a ghost according to some of you. Right, anyway. So we're going to look at the latest GFS model run to see what it is showing for the next couple of weeks, as we always do, which will take us into the first week of November. So at the moment, we are mostly high and dry. We've got higher pressure centred over and just to the east of the country, and up where we've got some winter stuff to look at as well, so you know, leave a like for that. And we are bringing the wind in from a pretty mild southeasterly direction, but it's nothing too ridiculous. Pretty mild nights though. It's 11 degrees here right now at 7:05, so pretty mild. But as you can see, An area of lower pressure is waiting in the wings to move in from off the Atlantic. So as we go into the early part of next week, this area of low pressure is moving in from the west, from off the Atlantic, and that is going to move through most of the south, but it's going to bring rainfall to many parts of the country with a preceding weather front through Monday into Tuesday. As that clears away, we'll get another area of low pressure within the jet stream, which actually combines, as you can see, two areas of low pressure merging together on Thursday. Could be quite nasty and bring some quite rough conditions to many parts of the country, particularly the north, with some quite strong winds possible, but uncertainty in the forecast surrounding this. But you can see pretty strong westerly winds in the south, but further north, definitely quite unsettled through the weekend. Into the weekend, that area of low pressure clears out to the east. We have a ridging building out to the west, and you can see higher pressure out to the west, lower pressures to our east, and winds are in from a pretty cold northerly direction. So definitely turning things, a change is on the way there. However, a lot of messing around with these model runs. This GFS run, which is the American model, topples the high very quickly over the top of the country and actually turns things milder, wetter and windier. This model has really backed up its ideas from yesterday really, but it begins to bring in by day 10 lower pressure from off the Atlantic, unsettled continues and returns back in again. And we're kind of in just a pest from the West Atlantic driven flow. At the final frame of the run, the 2nd of November, higher pressures out to the west, lower pressures to the east, and we're dragging in a pretty chilly northerly for the time of year. But again, it's very transient, not long lasting. Sendich, you've got a big name in here. Have I? Have I? What, you? I've got you in here. What do you mean? The Braemar, Belater and Donside. I know him anyway. We speak a lot on Twitter. That's a stinking look. It does look very bad, actually. It does look very bad. I will say that it has definitely dropped colder. I don't know if anyone else has noticed it, but it definitely feels colder than it has done as of late. It could just be me with the remnants of a cold, but it does certainly feel a little bit more chilly in the air. I mean, 11 degrees is nothing too spectacular anyway, but yeah, it just feels colder than that, really. But anyway, moving on to the GM, which is now working on this website. We've got an area of low pressure moving in from off the Atlantic, bringing in that wet weather, more to the south, actually, with this than the GFS, but it is slightly higher resolution, I suppose. With the area of low pressure on Thursday, a different track. It goes through central England, through northern and central England, into the North Sea, bringing the wettest conditions to the central, west and the northeast as it clears through. As it clears away to our east, we bring down that cold northerly wind, which will feel colder than it really is. Excuse me. It will feel colder than it actually is at the surface, but you can see with this GM run as well, it does stay pretty changeable with winds in from a west-northwesterly direction. Get a brief milder air mass, but it's pretty chilly on the whole, really. Slightly below average temperatures with a west-northwesterly airflow. And as you can see, higher pressure, again, with this run, is ridging. You can just see signs of it remaining out to our west. As that area of low pressure clears through, as you'd expect over the next few days, we would back the wind into that northerly direction. You can see the cold air sinking into Iceland and Greenland there. We're just on the periphery of that. We're not actually digging into that. But we would do, as that area of low pressure clears through. Something to watch, definitely, as we continue through the days. Great to see the mods in here, by the way. John's saying, keep busy moving. I was sweating earlier. Yeah, I'm sure you were. You were moving all the time. 60 mile an hour, 50 mile an hour gusts here Thursday with big seas. And Thursday, 62 mile an hour gusts and big seas forecast on Thursday. Pretty rough. GM's been out for days. It has been a long time since it was working. Unfortunately, it's working, but it's my least favourite one. I don't really like it. I think it's absolutely terrible, if I'm being honest. I've got the AI model. Oh, here we go. AI FS12Z. This is the ECM AI model run for the next few weeks. One of my stations showing 2 degrees. That's pretty chilly. Definitely. Wonder what the wind of the low will be. We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of uncertainty on it. Again, with the AI model, this is the artificial intelligence one. It processes very quickly. Doesn't require much human interference. Again, anyway, an area of low pressure moving from off the Atlantic into Monday into Tuesday. So quite unsettled through the early part of next week. Again, another area of low pressure sliding through the country Thursday into Friday. Slightly further northwards than the GM, so, and less developed, so. Just some heavy rain for many parts of the country in the north particularly. Before the wind backs into that west-northwesterly direction, bringing some cooler/colder air southwards transiently, but you can... Oh, it's not updated probably. Oh, it has. I guess it's just that frame there. But again, higher pressure back to the south at the end of the run. Lower pressure kind of puts a halt to any colder air sinking southwards. We do have some ridging in the North Atlantic up towards Greenland, but we've got a trough, an area of low pressure sat over the top of the UK on the 2nd of November, bringing back the unsettled conditions. Looks quite nasty there, actually, under that. Probably windy as well. This model really does underdo certain features. That is one disadvantage of AI models at the moment that I can think of off the bat. If we look at the trends for the next, couple of weeks with the model output, you can see that, to be honest, it's looking a bit cooler than average, as you can see. Up to the 1st November with the ensembles. We're looking at Buxton today, quite an elevated area in Derbyshire. Not too far from me, I suppose, just a bit further south and higher up. But anyway, up to around the 23rd of October, we are above average of the upper air temperatures before we do see a definitive drop into the final week of November, of October, I should say, into the start of November, even for the Halloween period. Can see generally one more day of drier weather before things do turn generally unsettled, especially around Monday and Tuesday, with some nasty areas of low pressure moving in around Thursday, which could bring that milder air further northwards, indicated by this spike here in temperatures. But as you can see, the general trend is down after that. It's down. It's just going below average, and pretty unsettled conditions, really, is the general trend. If we head, further north as to where I'm in Barnsley, there's not going to be much change. Very similar chart. And just for fun, if we have a look at the snow depth, which there's some quite cold runs in there, you can see, like, for the south, central Midlands there, there's nothing to look at. There's nothing. There's like one run there, and this is for a high elevation area, so don't think there'd be any too much besides over the Scottish Glens, maybe. But anyway, moving on to the next 5 days with the UKV. We've still got 58 of you in here. But what you're looking at is the white line, is the average. I'll show you 1 minute. So the white line, that's the average. So that's the average of all of the runs. So there's 32 in an ensemble run, which is including the operational run. I should say 31 runs, including the operational run. The red's the 1991 to 2020 mean, and the white line is kind of the average of all of the runs. So you can see at some points, like 26th of October, for example, we've got some slightly milder runs, and we've got some colder runs in there, and it's just kind of balanced out, is the white line, basically. It is just the long-term average of all of the model runs put together. You can see the GFS all over the place, but that's pretty standard for that model. It's pretty terrible at times. Anyway, moving on to the UKV. Hopefully that helps you, mate. Moving on to the UKV next, which is the UK Met Office precipitation forecast for the next few days. -7 forecasted next week up in Scotland overnight. I was looking at that. It does look pretty pretty interesting. Been very boring October, but newspapers forecasting huge Arctic snowstorms. Oh, are they doing the Britain to get battered by absolute blizzards and stuff? Yeah, I've seen them. I don't believe that they're all rubbish. Only watch my videos for the accurate forecast. No, I actually did get this end of October cooler spell correct, though. You got to give me that. But anyway, you can see the wetter weather moving in from the west through tonight. Well, through tonight into the early hours of Sunday, particularly for the west and northwest. Could be quite heavy through central and the Republic of Ireland into Northern Ireland. Quite wet, windy conditions there, moving through southern central Wales, into the far northwest of Scotland, so plenty of rainfall moving through. As you can see, it clears to our east, eventually into the North Sea, and carries that rain with it, but plenty of rain for many parts tomorrow. Looks quite dismal, really. Looks quite a wet day. Through Monday, that theme of the heavy, prolonged rainfall kind of dissipates a little bit, but you can see plenty of showers for the Midlands, central southern England, and for western parts of Wales as well, moving through, even to parts of like Gloucestershire, Herefordshire, for example, seeing some quite heavy rainfall or rain spells there. You can see, though, it does dry out through the evening into the early hours of Tuesday, with some thicker cloud around and a few patchy spells of rain developing. Tuesday's a generally drier day, besides for particularly western parts of the UK. If you think about just the western portion, really, could just see some patchy showers. Could be quite heavy at times for central western England there. So pretty interesting, uninteresting there. And then we've got an area of low pressure, which is just drifting to the south on this UKV run, which is bringing some rainfall to the south coast and just that 20 miles inland, maybe up to the London area and the southeast. So seeing a few patch showers there. Quite a lot of sunshine in where you avoid the showers, but definitely mixed in with a few rain showers. You'll be lucky to avoid them all, is what I'm saying. There's a lot of rain showers around. Moving on to the longer range prospects, then here we go. Hopefully you all enjoyed that look. If my car isn't here in the next 7 minutes, I'll be calling out of the offices, my friend. Yeah, hopefully you get that sorted, Hazel. Hopefully you get that sorted. I think we might get a very cold spell in January. Interesting thoughts. Josh, what is wrong with you? Donate through Super Chat. Cheers very much, Josh. I do appreciate it. Don't go broke, all right? Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Moving on to... Why do you do this to me? Oh, dearie me. Higher pressure with the CFS for the November month. Actually looks quite interesting. We've got plenty of northern blocking. We've got an area of low pressure to the south. That could be low pressure. It's a bit uncertain, but winds could be in from an easterly direction. We've got higher pressure towards Scandinavia and the Nordic regions, bringing in maybe an easterly wind. It depends what this is. I assume it's low pressure. Could be an interesting month for that, though. December, however, looks one to forget. Lower pressure through the country, higher pressure to the north of Greenland, and we are pretty westerly and very unsettled, to be honest. Quite a stormy month. January is very close to being cold, but not quite. It could have some cold snaps in it at times, I suppose. Excuse me. But we've got higher pressure to the north over the Arctic Circle. We've got lower pressure out to our west, and that is going to be bringing in Atlantic southwesterlies, even with the blocking feature. So basically a write-off. February looks quite interesting, actually, which is interesting. A long way off, of course, but higher pressure to around Greenland, extending into a northern blocking feature, and low pressure to the south and the east. That could bring in an easterly flow, an east-northeasterly flow, and could bring some snow events to the south if that came off. So, pretty interesting there. And then getting into Monday, March, we've got lower pressure basically to the south and over the top of the UK, so pretty unsettled there. Higher pressure getting going towards Scandi and Siberia, but really not having an effect on the UK. This was something I wanted to show. This is what you were mentioning before, wasn't it? This is the Met Office forecast. This is the Met Office forecast for the Cairngorm Mountains. I don't know why I brought this up, to be honest, but I just thought it'd be interesting to show you that it is definitely going to drop colder, and it is a long way off, so temperatures might change. But this is the Moray, the Cairngorm summit, and as you can see, the temperatures by 23rd and 24th of October, not even when the proper cooler/colder air has arrived, are dropping over the Scottish glens and mountains to below -4 overnight. And if you look at the feel-like temperatures, they are pretty cold. You see sleet and snow as you'd expect. I'd expect this to be snow. I mean, I wouldn't expect at 0 degrees it to be sleet, but you never know. I mean, you can see, snow, fog, and you can see through a freezing fog, -11 feel-like temperatures would feel pretty chilly, if I was to say so myself. Looks pretty cold there, looks pretty cold. I have shown this one before, I think, but I wanted to bring it up, because why not? That mini beast from the east for November, yeah, it would be funny. Would be funny. Going to be back-loaded winter, I think. It's interesting to ponder, isn't it? I think front-loaded winter, but we'll have to wait and see. I just see you talking to my moderators in the chat. Lovely. We need to put tariffs on US weather coming to us. Any frost? James always has frost. There's not even a question about that. He always has frost. But this is the signal for November from the CanSIPS model from tropicaltidbits.com. Got to be careful with that name. It's a bit dodgy. But we've got higher pressure to the south of Greenland and lower pressure over Greenland. Well, actually, sorry, over Scandi. We send the lows to Scandi, bringing down a cold northerly wind there. Actually looks very interesting for November. For December, higher pressure ridging through Western Europe. Basically dry. Could be a few inversions, maybe some cold frosty nights, but that is a very mild December. January, nothing more to add. It looks very high and dry, but this model's rubbish. February, it's still the same picture. Higher pressure may be retreating out to the west, but it's more of a northwesterly flow, so probably not that cold. And into March, the high pressure over the top of the UK and Western Europe re-strengthens, so pretty uninteresting charts there, I'll be honest. The CFS monthly anomalies for November actually look very echo the ideas of the I've just shown you the CanSIPS model. It has a very similar pattern actually. Higher pressure over into the west of the UK and lower pressure over is sent to Scandi, and winds are in from a northerly direction, so pretty cold there. Maybe even wintry in the north and the east, but we are quite close to the area of high pressure, so possibly a little bit interesting. If you were wondering, and I know a few people do ask me to show this, and I never do, and I'll move the camera very quickly for you all. This is the Central England temperature, so at the moment, comparing it to the long-term mean, the Hadley CET up to the 17th of October is sitting at 12.1 degrees, 1.6 degrees above the long-term average. So, pretty mild. They are referring to the 1961 to 1990 average. I still think they need to swap it up because it's still outdated, in my opinion. And they should change it to at least the 91 to 2020, because that's more up to date than 61 to 90, which was a completely different period. So all of these anomalies really do look pretty mild. Like that January, which is 0.4 below average, actually looks quite cold on the grand scheme of things. It was a very nondescript period, but it was pretty, it was something compared to what we've seen. This was, I'm not sure why I brought this up actually. This was the CMC, oh I remember. The CMCC model was actually quite interesting, and the reason I brought this up is because of its blocking feature in January. This is the only reason I wanted to show this. It has higher pressure really blocking to our north, like strong northern blocking. And we've got lower pressure over Spain, and winds are in from a direct easterly direction. From an easterly direction, we've got higher pressure really blocking to the north. Winds in from an easterly direction. That could be very cold, actually, and very wintry, but of course, February has to break it down. We've got higher pressure to our east, but you can see it's ridging. So it actually probably brings up a south or southeasterly direction wind direction, a southerly wind. Pretty damn mild there. Moving on to the ECM, and this is the anomaly charts for the next few weeks. I've got a lot of data to show you. I told you I did. Then we've got the CFS at the end, which you won't want to miss because it's always interesting. It's always a bag of laughs to see what you're not getting that year. But anyway, with the CFS anomalies, I can show you them there. Yeah, they're all right. Right, so for week 1, the 20th to the 27th of October, we've got higher pressure ridging out to our north and west, lower pressure to our east, and winds are in around that from a northwesterly to northerly direction. Obviously, that area of low pressure will clear out to our east, and it will begin to drop in the colder air from the north. Cooler or cold, depends on how you look at it, really. A few people had a go at me for that. But you can see it is pretty cold because temperature anomalies are below average for everywhere in the UK. Through Iceland into the southern side of Greenland, but many parts of Europe are above average. But the UK is on the right side for once, and we're actually on the colder side. Precipitation anomalies are slightly wetter than average because we've got areas of low pressure pushing through for the next few days. Moving on to week 2, which is the 27th of October to the 3rd of November. That blocking signal does remain. We have higher pressure up to the north and to the northwest, and lower pressure towards Scandi, and winds are in from a northerly direction. So pretty chilly again, probably. 500 millibar heights show low pressure again, very similar. But you want good consensus between the two because they're pretty similar charts, really. We've got lower pressure again over Scandi, higher pressure to our north and west, and winds are in from a northerly direction. Temperature anomalies with this are again around to slightly below average, I'd say, on the whole, or no signal, but cooling down for many parts of Western Europe, so France, Spain, Portugal, Germany, the Netherlands, and into Norway and Sweden as well. And then the precipitation anomalies remaining slightly wetter than average with some unsettled conditions moving through. I did not mean to click on that. I do apologise. Into week 3, so we're cooking on gas now, into the first week of November. And it doesn't look too great, I'll be honest, because we've got lower pressure through the UK, higher pressures to our west, and it looks pretty unsettled for the first week of November. And with 500 below heights, that actually could be bringing up a southwesterly because we've got higher pressure located over Spain, and that could be trying to bring up a southwesterly wind. Lower pressure to the north, unsettled in the north, mild in the south. It's typical west-southwesterly pattern. So as you'd expect, temperature anomalies do rise, and I'd expect wetter in the north, drier in the south. Oh, it's wetter throughout the whole UK. There you go. Looks quite wet there. Unsettled conditions for week 3, or first week of November. Into the period of the 10th to the 17th of November, we've got, oh, that looks a bit better, higher pressure out to the west, a mid-Atlantic ridge, building up towards Greenland, lower pressures, trough of low pressure into into Scandinavia, and winds are in from a northerly direction, so pretty cool there, maybe even cold. This white area is likely low pressure as well. Temperature anomalies are slightly above average, but we are a long way off. And precipitation anomalies should be drying out. They are a little bit reduced, but we are a long way off. So, obviously, unreliable charts showing up. Into the final couple of weeks, so the 17th to 24th of November, with the ECM longer range prospects. Higher pressure ridging in the Atlantic, maybe slightly, but northwesterly airflow. So, mostly dry, maybe cooler at times. Again, similar trend. Anomalies there are weakening but slightly above average, and precipitation drier out to the west with that high pressure, and wetter to our east, where we might be seeing higher pressure out to our east and lower pressure maybe higher pressure out to our west, lower pressure maybe further eastwards. So, bit of an uncertain one. Finally, week 6. Oh, that looks pretty interesting as well. Higher pressure really building out to our west in the Atlantic, but unfortunately with that, probably bringing in a northwesterly flow because of the orientation of the high. We are positioned very close to it, so probably very dry, and around that we could be bringing in an actual mild northwesterly flow there. It's a bit of an uncertain one, that one, actually. Depends on the exact position. 500 millibar heights maybe suggest it could be more of a north-northeasterly flow, but again, it's not really anything to worry about. It's so far out. Temperature anomalies are definitely cooling down, but it's a long way off, and precipitation anomalies drying out as you'd expect with higher pressure out in the North Atlantic. So yeah, pretty interesting one. Not sure I brought that up. These are the ECM anomalies for the next couple of weeks. This is up to day 10, so for the up to the 28th of October. You can see higher pressure out in the Atlantic, lower pressures to our east, and winds are in from a northwesterly direction, so slightly cooler. Is by all model runs up to the 28th, so pretty good cross-model consensus. Notice we do have some blocking to the Canadian side of Greenland. If it was positioned more towards Greenland, the area of low pressure would be shoved further eastwards. This high pressure might be further westwards, and we could be seeing a cold northerly wind, but it's not far enough to show any concerns. This is not a good sign. 2nd of November, every single model run from the ECM ensembles from the Icelandic Metaphysics show higher pressure over France and lower pressure in the Atlantic, and that's bringing up a southwesterly wind, so pretty mild there, probably quite unsettled and maybe even stormy in the far north of the UK and northwest. So that's not a great sign, I'll be honest. 60 people that's a ton. That is a lot. Yeah, I didn't realise there were that many people in here. Cheers all. This is one of the biggest streams that we've done. I hope that we've got our new record. Gonna be mild, guys. Come on. You never know. Greetings from Belgium. Nice to see some lots of general people from different countries in here as well. Not just the UK. It's great to see diversity in the chat. Not just people from the UK, but from everywhere. It's nice to have everyone here. Because it doesn't just apply to the UK all the time. I know a lot of my stuff does, but I'm trying to include more and improve my knowledge on particularly Europe, but also the rest of the world as well. And it will come with time, I'm sure. Moving on then, and I'm going to show you the CFS midnight run. Remember, this is just for fun and changes every 6 hours. So obviously this is funny. It is funny to look at and see what you're not going to get. Cold signals have gone away again. Well, to be fair, the longer range output is pretty terrible, and it's never usually right, so take it with a pinch of salt, would be my word. Any snow for the Lake District Mountains coming soon? Mark, it could snow next week, but it would be quite nip and tuck. It would depend on the exact air mass. If it's cold enough, it will snow. If it's like -3, 850 HPA temperatures, it could snow over the highest ground, possibly, but it's one of those situations which I wouldn't like to forecast at all. Unless it was Scottish Glens, of course, the Cairngorm Mountains. They'll see plenty, I'm sure. 30 centimetres, I heard, from the Daily Mirror. I think that's it. Then that's all you need to know. Right. Anyway, stop being silly. Right. Let's move on to the CFS then. So we're going to skip through it. It actually does show that cold northerly wind to end October into start November. Higher pressure to the south, lower pressure to the north. Westerly winds dominate. Oh dear. Into the second and third week of November, higher pressure building strongly over and to the east of the country with a southwesterly wind dominating. This looks more interesting though. Do see the heights reducing to the south and beginning to move to our west, up towards the inland, lower pressure over Scandinavia, pulling the wind back into a northwesterly to northerly direction, and sinking some colder air southwards to end November. This will be good for my forecast, although it's probably unlikely to verify. Can see areas of low pressure with the jet stream, which is down here to the south of the UK, areas of low pressure travelling into France, and you can see we are dragging in some quite cold air from the east to northeast. So if you run back the airflow, you can see that the air is originating from a very long way northwards, even from like Svalbard and beyond to the Arctic Circle, the North Pole. You can see a strong ridge in the Atlantic. Got areas of low pressure flowing through the country. Could be bringing plenty of wintry showers in places. Maybe some quite harsh frosts as well up in the north. And if we had any kinks in the isobars, which I hate saying because it is the worst phrase in weather terms, that would be bringing in some winteriness potentially to more areas than you'd expect. This area of low pressure is quite interesting, gracing the southwest on the 26th of November. Let's take a look at the air masses. Oh, wow. That would be a snowmaker for the southwest there, maybe even for Cornwall and the Republic of Ireland as well, and for probably South Wales there. Pretty snowy conditions possible there. Although, unfortunately, the higher pressure begins to weaken out in the Atlantic, and it begins to turn things milder. We've got very stormy conditions to start December, but it doesn't last long because as that area of low pressure clears to the east, the higher pressure just about hangs on just about enough out in the Atlantic to return the colder air from the north into the start of December. This is good for my forecast. I said it'd be cold. It's definitely not something to put your money on. But yeah, you can see higher pressure just out to our west, just about lower pressure in the North Sea, dragging in that northerly wind and probably quite cold. A few wintry showers possible. But then we do turn definitively unsettled for a time through the second week of December. Again, ridging out into the North Atlantic again though. Very much trying. Would be quite cold there. Do see that cold front, which is this line here on the 15th of December, sinking southwards. There it is. And as you can see on the back edge, we're bringing back a proper cold northerly wind. And even a northwesterly is quite cool there as well. Looks quite cold and frosty there. Let's see what Christmas is like. Well, that is not what you want if you want a cold Christmas. Higher pressure to the south, lower pressure to the northwest, and winds are in from a southwesterly direction. Pretty mild. In the start of January, that theme continues. Very strong polar vortex, so plenty of areas of low pressure spinning around. Lower pressure to the north, higher pressure to the south, west-southwesterly direction. Airflow. This would be the polar vortex, the polar opposite of what you'd want for a cold spell. But to be fair, we have seen quite a lot of cold in November and December. Many parts of the country would see some widespread colds. But here we go, something more interesting starting to develop towards the latter half of the second half of January. Higher pressure beginning to extend up towards Scandinavia. We send it to Scandi, one of the favourite phrases of the channel from some people. High pressure sent towards Scandi. And we're bringing in a proper long-fetched easterly wind. If you look at the origins of the air, it is coming from western Russia, so pretty cold there. Probably quite wintry as well. Look at that. Proper cold blast from the east. Really cold air. Sinking through the country. Plenty of snow showers moving through on those cold easterly winds. We've got an area of low pressure, low in the flow, moving from the southwest, northwest-southeast alignment, exits the jet stream. And that could bring in a massive snow event, particularly to the south and southeast. Suit, you'd be loving me if that came off. But then the winds revert back into a into a northwesterly to northerly direction. airflow, but very cold air there. Probably lots of harsh overnight frost, lots of snow, and lots of excited people in my comment section. But moving on beyond that, lower pressure returns from off the Atlantic. Transition possible there at the end of January if this came off. Back to milder air, and the milder air returns before another cold northeasterly returns for a time. Higher pressure retreats out back in the Atlantic, sinking the colder air back southwards. Proper epic run this, isn't it? Tries to get back towards Scandi, doesn't quite get there before the Atlantic reigns supreme once again. But we don't end there, because at the very end of the run, higher pressure decides, hello, I want to have another go, and it retreats back in the Atlantic, an omega block, going up towards Greenland, and we sink the cold air southwards. Look at that. -5 line back through the country, bitterly cold air sat to the north, polar lows dropping through the country. That is a big snowmaker for Scotland there, and plenty of snow possible there with that polar low dropping southwards. And then it does turn more Atlantic driven to the start of March, but who cares about that? That will be a pretty epic winter. Obviously it has its very mild spells, but it has its quite cold spells as well, which definitely would make for some interesting viewing if this winter came off, especially this. That trough of low pressure on the 25th of Jan with that cold easterly flow and higher pressure up towards Greenland would definitely bring some interest, I will tell you that much for certain. Very interesting run there. Difficult to look at there. Like the way it's keeping the cold. It certainly did keep the cold. Snowy January, lol. Cold January is needed. Yeah, it is. I understand them. Don't ask me to forecast. Yeah, they're quite difficult to understand if you've never done it before, but kind of just, learn it all myself and stuff. Beans on... I love that name. This year has been super boring. Looks like the boring trend is going into winter as well. I hope all these models are terribly wrong. Well, yeah. I know you hate snow. I know you do. You don't need to tell me. When you go into work, I can understand it. You don't want to. You don't want to have all that rubbish, do you? Jetstream's all broken and choppy. Yeah, it certainly is in this run. It's all over the place, but that means bugger all when it comes to the winter. That's for sure. We'll have a quick look at the 6 there, but I can already tell you it's not as interesting at all. Here we go. Higher pressure to the south, lower pressure to the north is the general trend. Brief westerly winds there, but very, very mild. Very mild start to November there through until the very final week of November, where higher pressure retreats into the Atlantic. All these models do suggest what I was saying about a ridging in the Atlantic and a colder spell to end November. A lot of them do go with that, so maybe something to watch out for. Send its forecast. But a cold northwesterly to northerly wind does return, or does arrive from the north by the 29th on this run. But it doesn't last too long before the Atlantic wins out, and we bow back into a westerly flow for a time. Do see some ridging towards Scandinavia again. We do send it to Scandi. Easterly winds return for a time, and then it turns very mild with low pressure out to the west, and it's very unsettled. A super mild Christmas there. You'd all love that. You'd all love me for that. Very mild Christmas. Get your get your shorts on. Definitely. Very mild though, and very, very, very uninteresting until the end of January. Just a very uninteresting winter, I'll be honest, if this came off. Very dry, and probably very mild as well. Very end of January, though, higher pressure retreats out to the west, lower pressure to our east, sinking in some colder air for quite a while, actually, for about a week. Pretty cold air from the east-northeast. It does turn pretty cold for a time with a few wintry showers and harsh overnight frosts and a lot of snow in places as well, probably. Some troughs moving through. That milder air does struggle to get back in from the west, but does eventually. Probably a snow event with that. But then we're back into the mild, wet and windy southwesterlies. It turns very mild. So, yeah, that's the end of that one. But on the whole, the general trend is pretty mild. When we get the high over Scandi, do we then get ECs off that? Yes, we do. Hello to CRT Gaming. Hello to you in the chat. It's not a stupid question at all. I just get that you're understanding all the charts. That's good to me. I'm trying to learn them all as well. That's good to me. Higher pressure, though, if it's over Scandinavia and it's a proper block, so if it's not connected towards, like, Italy, for example, if it's not connected like this, then it is a good sign. If it's independent, which, I mean, on its own, if it's sat on its own towards Scandi, the red's area of high pressure, if that's connected over here, and we could bring down a easterly wind, but then you've got to have the stars align, because you've got to have the cold air to tap into from the east as well. Flashback to last year when we saw that cold easterly and it wasn't cold at all, and most places saw some cold rain and we're very disappointed. That is usually what happens. Beans on toast, certainly agree with you there. Feel like these days it's either really dry all year, extremely wet, no in between. Yeah. Oh look, it's my mate CRT Gaming. Please stop hyping the winter when you have no idea what you're talking about. I think I've got more of a clue than you, mate, but there you go. I'll not say any more than that. I hear that you're back to troll the channel. I do appreciate it. You help the numbers get up. Yeah, he's a troll, by the way, everyone. Don't worry about him. He came last year as well. Adams, it's his birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday to you, the day before, Adam. Hope it's good. Let me know if get any good gifts. Any nice presents on your birthday. But happy birthday to you. There you go. Right, well, I think I've shown everything that I can, really. I hope you really enjoyed the stream. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. I hope we broke the like goals. I hope we're up to 100 like I requested. I'm joking. But yeah, cheers to everyone that's done all the super chats and stuff. I do appreciate it. Such as Barb, Mac, and Josh for their generous donations. And the members, all the new members. Cheers to you lot for that. The MJO, the Madden Julian Oscillation, if it's in MJO Phase 8, then it means it's cold. There you go. Have that one. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. It's not James Jukebox. No, that's a different kettle of fish. That'll be his 27th account. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching today's stream. Hope you all enjoyed. Yeah, great show. Cheers, Mark. I do appreciate it. And so lot, thanks to you lot as well in the chat that I can talk to throughout this stream. We've gone on for about 40 minutes. Really good stream, and it's been really enjoyable, even with some trolls, which don't bother me anymore. Used to it. Cheers, everyone. I'll see you all.